Small town boy in a big arcade. I got addicted to a losing game. Ooh,
Welcome to the internet. Have a look around. Anything that brain of yours can think of can be found. We've got mountains of content, some better, some worse. If none of it's of interest to you, you'd be the first. Welcome to the internet. Come and take a seat. Would you like to see the news or any famous women's feet? There's no need to panic. This isn't a test. Just nod or shake your head and we'll do the rest. Welcome to the internet. What would you prefer? Would you like to fight for civil rights or tweet a racial slur? Be happy, be horny, be bursting with rage. We got a million different ways to
This world can hurt you, it cuts you deep and leaves a scar. Things fall apart, but nothing breaks like a heart.
I feel like if you had sex with a router, that's what it would sound like.
Showtimes are on the hour, not a moment before and not a moment later. I'm sorry, but there was never enough room on this stage for both of us.
Oh, I guess you wanted to me now, were you?
Hey, my name's Toby. Dad was just an amazing father, always getting drunk and beating us. He's dead now.
I curse the name, the one behind it all. Discord, I'm howling up the moon and sleeping in the middle of a summer afternoon. Discord, whatever did we do to make you take no, make you take no?
Don't fuck with me, don't fuck with me. Since you shut my eyes on to see you, I never knew where I was going. I went below what I was knowing. I know I've been on a long time, but I'm back and I want what is mine. I know I've been on a long time, but
Introduce myself. My name is John Coiffure, and now that the story of Ben Drowned has become popular, I'd like to clarify some facts that I've been researching on after his death. I'll start from the beginning. Ben and I went to school together. He was a very shy boy, but we became friends right away as we shared one passion: video games. One of our favorite games was The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask for Nintendo 64. Ben was a slim boy with blonde hair to his shoulders and his eyes were sky blue. Everyone considered him a weirdo because his personality was different. The bullies in the class, Matt, Jack, and Alex, constantly picked on him. Matt was the worst of them. He was despicable and he had a scar on his lip from an old fight he usually bragged about.
Awesome!
Poor Ben's situation at home wasn't very nice either. His dad had died the previous year in a car accident. Right before dying, Ben had told him about his problems at school and he had calmed him down. "I'll go talk to your teacher tomorrow. I'm sure it would all have a wonderful ending, right?" He kissed him on his forehead and laughed without knowing those were his last words. Ben didn't smile much. The happiest I had seen him is when he bought the Majora's Mask game with the money he had been saving. He would spend hours and hours playing and he always had it with him. "I wish I was like Link and I could be brave and face those bullies," he would usually say. One day, I went to his house to pick him up and go to school together. When I got there, he was playing the Majora's Mask game. I remember he saved the game in the Skull Kid phase. Then, he put the game inside his bag and we left for school. During the break, he came to me, desperate, because Matt had been searching in his stuff and his game had disappeared. I went to the teacher's room with him to tell what had happened, and we went to find Matt. "Ben, are you sure it was Matt?" the teacher asked. "Yes, I saw him searching on my bag." "Don't worry, you won't see it again," I heard Matt whisper with a dark voice. The teacher asked Matt to empty his bag. There was the game without the label. Ben asked me to hold on to it. He was afraid I would take it from him again after school. He told me he would call me to meet at some safe place and give it to him. When I got home, I was waiting for his call. 10 minutes passed, then 20, 30, and the phone didn't ring. I was worried. What if Matt and the others had done something to him? I ran to Ben's house with the game on my hand. Right before reaching his house, I heard cries and moans coming from the shore of a nearby lake. I got closer, and then I saw Matt, Jack, and Alex next to Ben laying on the floor, hurt. He was screaming in pain and covering his face with his hands. I stood there some meters from them, and I saw Matt grab a wooden stick from the floor. "You were saying you saw me taking your stupid game, huh? Don't worry, you won't see anything ever again." He put the stick in one of Ben's eyes and then in the other one. Ben was desperately screaming. The show was horrifying. I wanted to do something, but I couldn't move. Blood was falling from his sockets, covering his face and his clothes. I threw up and started crying. "You shouldn't have done that," Ben said to Matt. Matt grabbed him by his neck and dragged him to the lake. He sunk his head in the water, drowning him while he laughed and laughed. Jack and Alice got scared and they ran away. When Matt finished his job, he let Ben's dead body go and left in the same direction. Nobody was there anymore. I got close to Ben, my legs were shaking. I held him on my arms, hugging him, without letting go of the Majora's Mask game that I still had on my hand. I remained like that until the police came. They had been warned by a neighbor. My best friend was dead and I couldn't do anything to avoid it. I still have nightmares about this. When I went back home, I went to the bathroom to get rid of the blood. The Zelda game was also dirty. I wiped it and saw something handwritten on it, a word, Majora. I hadn't realized about this earlier, but I didn't think it was important. The next day, when I woke up, the game was gone. I looked everywhere, but couldn't find it. After telling the police about what had happened, they sent Matt to a juvenile detention center. 3 days after that, his death under strange circumstances was on the news. They said his eyes had come out of his sockets while he was playing The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. On the TV, they showed a picture of the game. It was exactly like Ben's, the one I had, with the same handwritten word. I almost passed out. I felt a chill. What was happening? I started investigating and I found out Jack and Alex had also died in the same way as Matt. It had to be Ben's revenge. But things didn't stop there. Everything started to get more serious and more deaths took place. I got in touch with people who had played the same version of the damned game to know what was different about it from the original. There was a saved game with Ben's name. Usually, Skull Kid would show up in faces where he's not supposed to be, staring at you. And Link's sinister statue followed you everywhere, doing weird things with evil, bloody eyes. One day, I borrowed the game. While I was playing, Link's statue appeared, and when the game was over, one of the screens said, "You've had a terrible ending, right?" I was stunned. It was a very similar sentence to the one Ben's dad told him before the accident. There was a face that didn't appear for the other players. When Link was dying, the dialogue said, "Even though you didn't help, I don't hold anything against you, my friend." So it is true. There is a cursed version of the Zelda game where Ben Drowned enjoys playing with your mind to scare you. His image will haunt you even when you sleep until you probably lose your mind.
Got nothing